The next article is related to United Nations Security Council, as the UNSC Sanctions Committee has observed the role of Jaish in the terror attack in Red Fort in India. India had earlier highlighted the same. So we will discuss regarding the United Nations Security Council, the reforms needed in the UNSC, the debate around the veto power for the permanent members of the UNSC, and why India must also be a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, as well as a few suggestions for the reforms in the UNSC. This is important in GS2 under the topic Important International Institutions, Agencies and Fora, their structure and mandate. First, let's start with a few facts regarding the United Nations Security Council. It was established in 1946. It comprises of 5 permanent members, 10 non-permanent members who are elected for a period of 2 years. The goal of UNSC is to maintain peace and security across the world, and therefore it can recommend agreements between the countries, conduct investigations, perform mediation, dispatch a mission and appoint special envoys as well. It can give ceasefire directives. It can also send military observers or a peacekeeping force as well. And for the enforcement measures, it can impose economic sanctions, impose arms embargoes, it can impose travel bans also, it can recommend the severance of diplomatic relations and even impose a blockade upon the country. The decisions that are taken by the UNSC that the member states are obligated to implement. Now, regarding the reform in the United Nations Security Council, the criteria for reform is that 2/3 of the members, the UN member states voting in the General Assembly, have to agree with it. Plus, they have to ratify this, and there has to be a consent of all the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Now, what is the need for reforming the United Nations Security Council? First, the usage of the vetoes by the permanent 5 members of the Security Council has been for their own interest, not for the world stability and peace. For example, the veto power uses regarding the Gaza ceasefire by USA, the vetoing of the Ukraine ending of the military conflict by Russia. Therefore, it has to be more responsible and it has to be more responsive as well. For example, if the P5 countries do not have any interest regarding a conflict in a region, then they do not pass any resolution. For example, the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, the P5 nations had little interest. If an African country was a member of the permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, they would have fought for it. And more than 80,000 people lost their lives at that time. The Hutu and Tutsi people there, those lives could have been saved. Similarly, should a country get a seat for life as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council? Because power is not constant in the international relations. Great Britain, France, they lost their large empires after the decolonization post the World War II. Similarly, the reforms have been long overdue. For example, the United Nations Security Council that has expanded only once to include 4 more non-permanent members in 1963, whereas the United Nations General Assembly that has expanded from 113 countries to 193 countries. Also, the geopolitical realities, they have changed. They are not like the World War II era or the post World War II era. There has to be better economic representation as well as geographic representation. For example, the representation needed for the G4 countries or the representation to countries from all the continents across the world. And for better legitimacy, better credibility, it has to be reformed. For example, in the name of responsibility, it has conducted interventions in Libya and Syria which are questionable. Similarly, the north-south divide also has to be bridged. The P5 nations, they are broadly representing the global north. Also, there are emerging issues, for example, economic interdependence, climate change mitigation, which need to be addressed by an organization like the United Nations Security Council. Therefore, it needs to be reformed. Now let's observe the debate regarding the veto power for the P5 members of the UNSC. Should they be having the veto power? First, the arguments against the veto power for the P5 members. The concept of veto violates sovereign equality because the UN Charter mentions that all member states are equal. If all are equal, then how can only a few members have veto? And it is undemocratic in nature because a veto by a single member of the P5 countries of the UNSC can overturn the decision of a majority within the United Nations Security Council, and therefore it paralyzes the functioning of the council, and it is at times abused for the national interest by the P5 members. The vetoes are not for the world stability, rather for their own interest, and at times they even block the actions on mass atrocities, for example Rwanda, Syria, etc. And this concept of veto, it is now outdated. The P5 structure represented the power structure of the post World War II era. The winners of the World War II, they were given this like a safety valve, like a trump card in their favor, so that they are participating actively in such a forum to ensure the stability and peace across the world. Now the power structure have changed. For example, the fall of the empires of Britain and France, and there is simultaneously a lack of accountability as well. For example, there is a hidden veto as well as a double veto. Hidden veto, for example, the P5 nations, they threaten the use of veto of a proposal, stifling the introduction of a proposal itself in the UNSC. And the double veto means, first the P5 members, they can classify an issue as a procedural issue, and therefore then subsequently give another veto even for the substantive matter as well. The French therefore came up with a proposal that the veto should not be there for the mass atrocities, mass crimes. Now let's observe the arguments in favor of the veto of the UNSC members, P5 members. First, the veto power ensures that the great powers, they are going for cooperation. Without their cooperation, the decisions implementation may be difficult, and it is preventing a major conflict, because a dissident great power may be provoked to enter into a conflict triggering a world war, which is prevented by the veto power. And there is a historical rationale also to ensure that the major powers, they are effectively participating in the processes for ensuring world security, and therefore it maintains the engagement of the P5 nations. Now, why should India be a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council? Because India is now a major global power. India is no more a land of snake charmers. India represents the world's largest democracy. India represents one-sixth of the humanity on earth, and it is also a major economic power. Soon we will be the third largest economy also in the world. We are a proven contributor to the United Nations. We contribute a large number of peacekeeping missions, the Green Berets, and we have an active global engagement also across issues. For example, promoting the reforms in institutions including WTO, the World Bank, IMF, or the engagements regarding climate change, etc. And we have been the voice for the global south, therefore effectively bridging the gap, the connectivity gap, the communication gap between the global north and the global south. And we have been a promoter of peace. For example, we have policies like nuclear doctrine, no first use policy, Article 51 promoting settlement of international disputes through mediation, peaceably through amicable resolution of the disputes, etc. And we have international support also. For example, the backing of the G4 grouping, the backing of 4 members out of the P5 members of the United Nations Security Council except China. And we have been a founding member of the United Nations Security Council, and this will represent the modern reality also, because India represents a large population as well as economic power too now. Now, what suggestions can we give regarding the reforms in the United Nations Security Council? First, there has to be a moderate expansion, because expanding the United Nations Security Council too much will be counterproductive, because it may lead to the delayed decision making of the UNSC. Therefore, a moderate expansion may be a good idea. Therefore, maybe 10 permanent members should be there in the UNSC, which will be distributed to 5 regional blocks in the United Nations, 2 each for each continent. And the eligibility criteria can be defined for the permanent members of the UNSC. For example, for the global north, it can be on the basis of their military might or their contribution to the United Nations budget. And for the global south, it can be in the form of their population, so that the larger portion of humanity is represented, their interests are protected, or their contributions to the peacekeeping missions, because the global south can contribute the boots on the ground and the global north can contribute the money. And there should be a restricted scope of veto. For example, the French proposal that vetoes should not be used for the proposals regarding the mass crimes, mass atrocities. We can follow the text-based negotiations, they should be revived, and the alternate multilateral fora can also be explored, for example, G20, BRICS. Now there is a means practice question also. The legitimacy and effectiveness of the United Nations Security Council are increasingly questioned in the changing global order. Discuss the need for reforms in the UNSC and justify India's claim for permanent membership. Please try to write it.